Okay, here it goes. I've had quite a few people ask me if I create any YouTube videos for my scrapbooking. I normally don't, but decided to give it a try. If it doesn't come out okay, then I just won't post it. But anyway, hopefully you can hear me. I'm gonna try and video this and talk while I do it, but if not, then I will just do a voiceover later on, but we'll see what works. This will be my very first one. So anyway, let's get to it. So I had some photos when I went to Tokyo Disney, and we had quite an interesting experience with a character meet and greet in Tokyo. And my daughter really wanted to see Daisy. Correction, she really wanted to see Donald. But so we got in the line, and because I'm a scrapbooker, I wanted Daisy too. So I called my husband and I said, can you wait in line for Daisy? Because I want to get both characters if I'm gonna scrapbook. So he said okay, and he went in the line. And the line was pretty long. So you can see in this photo, it was pretty long. And she and I were in one, my husband was in the other. And we got all the way, even though we waited about 15 minutes prior to my husband got to the front of the line before my daughter and I. And it was two lines that went like this with each other, weaved. And when he got to the front, I said, I'll send our daughter underneath the line to you. You will take pictures with Daisy and then send her back to me. So I didn't want to hold up the line, so I let people pass by me, and so I wouldn't hold up the Donald line. And then when she was done with Daisy, he called me and he said, they're having us go out and exit. I don't think she can come back to you. And I said, oh, just, can you see the Donald line? Because I could see where Daisy was. And he said, I can see, but they said we can't come back there. So anyway, I went through to take a picture with Donald, and he sent my daughter to me, and they said, no, she took a picture with Daisy. So I had to take a picture by myself with Donald. And I felt bad because my daughter had a Donald dress on and she really wanted to take a picture with Donald, but she couldn't. So anyway, I needed to document that experience, and I went hunting and I found a picture that apparently there's a mural on the wall for this Woodstock or Woodchuck area, I think it's called. And so I went ahead and drew the characters, but instead of, in the original picture, Donald is holding his nephew by the hat, and I decided to do the female one so I could document the experience. So I drew it, and then a friend of mine took the line drawing and she turned it into an SVG file for me. So here we are. I've already went ahead and pieced together my cuts. Now, what I normally do when I'm gonna start a scrapbook is, if I have a themed picture, I'll try and find a cut that's gonna match or something similar. And depending on how tiny the pieces are, I will either pre-cut my piece to a good size or prior, and that's normally what I do. So in this case, I wouldn't have necessarily made them this size, but because there was all these tiny little pieces, I didn't want to piece together something that was, let's say, like 2 or 3 inches tall, because it would have just been horrible for the Cricut to cut. So this is the size I decided on, and if anyone wants measurements, I can get that later, just for like height's sake. So what I normally do when I'm going to start my layout is, if it's a single page layout, then obviously I'll just have one piece of paper. But if it's 2, then I will have both. And I tend to, once I get my characters on the page, I decide how many photos can fit. Because I'm normally one that takes a ton of pictures, and then I have a hard time deciding which ones I want on the page, and I don't like to exclude any. So I usually start with a black background when I'm deciding where everything's gonna go, and then from then I change color. So I'll show you that later. So anyways, I start by just placing the pieces where I think I'm gonna want, and then after that I start printing pictures. So I knew, since the main pictures that I wanted them big. So I decided to start out by printing 2 that were 5x7. And then from then I decided that I definitely wanted the sign, and I definitely wanted the other sign that they had because it was nice and bright and colorful. So I just start putting pictures where I think I'm gonna want them, and I keep playing around with them on the background until I decide where everything's gonna go. So roughly like this. And then I knew I didn't want it to cover things, but then I also wanted there to be the little trash can, because right beyond this trash can was where I initially sent her under this rope, and I could see inside to the daisy line. So anyway, so I keep playing around with it until I decide just about where I want everything. I knew I needed some of the lines. And then there was this actual picture later on when I looked. I did take a picture of this sign, and you can sort of see a corner of it over here. But anyways, it says, "No, you're not." And I know it's talking about knots, but I thought that was kind of funny because, I mean, as you can see, they told us, no, you're not going to take a picture. So basically, I thought that would be funny when it came to a title. When I thought about a title, I thought, you know, when you don't know really the language, or, you know, minimal. In my case, I took 2 years in high school, but not enough to speak fluently in Japanese. And so I tried to tell them toire, like she was going to the toilet, but that didn't work. So anyways, I thought it would be funny to play around with a title instead of no, you're not, like to know something. I thought like no, like N-O. So then I went ahead and I cut out using rope lettering. No, you're not. And so I was playing around with how I thought it would go on the page. And then I think, I'm trying to remember now when I was fiddling with it. I think I said there, I figured there, but, and I just keep playing around with it and move it. Once I decide sort of where on a page I want everything, then I try and decide about color, because I know a lot of people like to frame photos in a different color, and usually I do too. And when I looked at the black, it stands out, but I don't know, it just didn't stand out enough for me. I felt like the pictures and the black were kind of getting lost. So then what I do is I kind of look at the colors in the photos and I pull out things that I think might work. So then you've got, you know, different colors that might have gone with things in the page. You've got your creams, you got some browns, maybe the oranges from this. And, you know, the craft cardstock tends to work nice. So, and then this is the pattern paper I used for like her skirt. So I kind of want to bring that in, but I don't really know yet where, so I'll set that aside. But then what I do is when I think I got some colors out that go with it, I will take sometimes the pieces and I'll lay them on, and I'm like, okay, what color is it going to stand out the most on? You can see it looks really well with the craft, looks really well with the cream, pretty good with the brown. The pumpkin obviously stands out a lot. I'm calling it pumpkin, but I don't remember. It might be rust. But, so I know I want to bring that color in, but that won't be my main page because as you can see, I only have an 8.5 by 11 of that. So when I kept looking at it, I thought the brown might be good to frame pictures, because if you see, it looks nice on both. But there are a lot of pictures, so I don't know, I have to think about that. So I'm thinking that I probably want the background to be this brown here. And so then I would do the same thing all over again once I have the placement, I just kind of memorize where I think it's gonna go. And then I gather everything, and then I do the same thing. So then I move things around, and I decide again. I look at it, because you know, you have to be happy with it. Once you set it, it's stuck like that, right? We all know once it's glued or taped, you really can't ask it to get up and move, unfortunately. But so then I put it back, and I just look at it, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that would go well. And if I'm still not sure, then sometimes I might bring in the second color and dump everything on that color just to see. And you can see how he's sort of blending into the background, so I don't like that. So I will probably go with this kind of craft, and I may end up framing the big pictures, frame the big pictures, and maybe the cream and the brown, the darker brown, or I will go the dark brown for these two. So let's try that. And even sometimes after I cut them off, if I don't like the way they look, I can still remove it, but yeah, I think that might work. Could do that. And if I'm still completely uncertain, then I'll use some like this type of adhesive as opposed to a glue, so I can always take it off. I don't know about you guys, but I really like scrapping Disney. I'm never caught up, which I don't mind, because if you're caught up, then you run out of things to do. I probably should have gotten out my other cutter, but that's right. For me, scrapbooking and drawing and things like that is therapy. So it doesn't bother me if I don't catch up. I hear a lot of people in groups say, oh, I'm so far behind. But realistically, you're only as far behind as you think you are. Because realistically, there's no one telling us what pages we have to complete when it comes to scrapbooking. So if you're behind, then you're telling yourself that you're behind, when realistically you don't have to do that many pages if you don't want. I try to make it about the same. I think I got this trimmer from Stampin' Up, and I was never able to get new blades for it. And it's Fisker, so it wouldn't be that hard, but it kind of is. And I'm just roughly trying to make my framing about the same size by eyeballing it, but you can get technical if you really want. See, I think that's about right. Close enough. This one I made a little bit smaller probably, but that's okay. Like I said, it's only for us. It's not like we're getting paid to do it. I mean, if you are, then go ahead and get technical with measurements. Let me see how I like that on there. Yep, I like it. Sets the mood, I think. Now I'm gonna need some of this color to do these other ones. I considered cutting this down smaller, but that's all right. I kind of like the color showing through the back. Have any of you been to Tokyo Disney? We were fortunate enough to go in 2019, right before COVID hit. And we enjoyed it, but our kids were younger and fought and fought and fought. And so we thought, okay, we'll go back when they get a little bit older. And so we did go back this past summer, and they still argued. And my husband wanted to end the trip early, but I told him, if you're gonna go back, you can go back without me. And of course I was semi-joking, but semi-serious. And I told him, I said, you know, our children are gonna fight no matter if we're back home or if we're here in Japan. So I might as well be in Japan with them fighting than to be back home. So we toughed it out. Another one of our friends was there also and said similar thing. He was like, oh, you know, same thing. Your children are gonna fight, but don't let them win. And I had to laugh. I thought that was funny. So I'm trying not to make the border too big for these because there's not much room to play with on the page. And so the wider you make your border, the more overlap you have to do. Oops. So I just keep going and I try to make the spacing not too bad, so when I trim it, I don't have a lot to trim off, and I don't have a lot of waste. I have a tendency to keep all the teeny tiny little pieces when you don't really need it, but you know, I feel like my grandmother told me never to waste. And so it's funny because if I have pieces that I won't use, I can give it to her. She still makes cards, and she loves when I give her things. She says it's like Christmas. She's going to be 91 this year in December, and I'm so blessed to be able to still have her around. She loves crafting, and she always repurposed everything. So I've kind of learned to do that. Sometimes I'll make scrapbook pages and I'll use like a gift bag. I'll drop up a gift bag to use it for like the edge. These photos were really tiny. I was able to get 4 of them out of a 4x6 photo. And then this I cut down to 4x4. I don't know, it's kind of, being the first one is kind of weird talking to yourself. I used to sell Color Street nail strips, and I remember I would go live and it was so nerve-wracking. I don't mind talking to people in person, but when it came to talking when it was on camera, I was like, wait, this is challenging, which I didn't mind it like when I could start reading the comments, but like in this case I can't read comments, so it just feels crazy, like I'm crazy talking to myself. Of course, placement on that had to be okay, because if not, that could have gone horribly wrong. I could have cut that super crooked. Sometimes I'll leave that on and I make like a decorative border, but I don't really want anything there currently. I do have the carpet on in the room kind of remind me of like Aztec kind of prints, so I did cut some things out of the Cricut to try and accent, but we'll have to see after I have everything bordered if I'll use any of it. Ooh, this is tricky. I think I will cut this one off first. There we go. And then trim this down. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing on camera, because I can't see my camera, it's up above me. So hopefully it's set up correctly. Right, those. I thought these were all the same, but for some reason they seem to be a little bit different. Maybe it's the way I place them. Yeah, close enough. And of course, you don't have to frame your photos if you don't want to. Like I said, sometimes it adds that pop of color that you wouldn't normally have got in, that's lacking or missing. Other times I've fussy cut the subject out. Yeah, I don't really need it to be that much border, so I'll probably trim it down a bit. I needed to get the line so I could tell the story. Problem is, I don't know how I'm gonna put the story on the page. I know I need to tell it because only my husband and my daughter would know the story, but I'm thinking later down the line, if anyone looks back at it, they would wonder, why did she put that title? So, but like I said, I thought that was funny, how it wants you to know what your knot is, but I figure it worked for the translation of languages. Anyway, okay, now that we have that cut, now I can relay it out again and see how it looks and what I think it's missing. So bring back those craft. Oh, there was one more I didn't do. The little trash can. I thought I had a little piece. I do. Although that trash can kind of gets lost on that. Almost seems like the same color, unless I go with the dark. It's a little better, but I don't know. Let's see. Now let's just go with the dark. Later on I might lift that glue up and put others, but it might actually stay. Normally I put glue, but just in case I decided not to keep it on this color is where I did this. I haven't used this Scrapbook.com sort of tape runner before. Sort of my glue of choice is that Barely Art. I haven't tried the glitter glue, so if you've tried the glitter glue and the Barely Art, let me know in the comments which one you prefer, because it's hard to find. I can't buy glue locally. We don't have big craft stores like Michael's and Joann's here, sadly. We have one that's called Ben Franklin, but unfortunately the prices are astronomical and they don't have that big of a selection. And the little craft stores I'm usually not able to find time to go to. I'm a mama of 4 kiddos, so I'm not really sure where that's from. I guess craft cardstock sometimes can have all these different imperfections, but hopefully it's 12 by 12. 12, just checking it, because sometimes I'll finish my page and then it won't fit in my book and I'm like, really? I did all that for nothing? Then I gotta figure out where to trim it. So in this case, thankfully it's matches up pretty well. It did say it was 12 by 12, so. And I like to, if I am doing the double page layout, I do like to put it side by side so I can see where it needs to go, because I try to make things pretty similar. And believe me, before I got on camera, I was like moving things all over the place, so I figured that spaces where you see them works good enough for me. This one was, oops, sorry about that. That was back there. This one was up here. And you can see how just having like the trio of colors really changes everything. But this one, I don't remember where I had that exactly. I know this was the line. No, that was somewhere there. But I think this one, I know I had it low enough so that you could still see what it said on the page. So I'm having a wonderful time. Yeah, we were actually having a wonderful time until that. There was only maybe three bad experiences total in Tokyo. I think I like this crooked like this. It kind of looks like pennant flags when it's crooked. Anyway, and then this was here, but in order to do that, I would have to move her over, which I guess doesn't matter too much. And sometimes I will go back and add like place for her to stand so she's secured, but I don't know, we'll see. I'm gonna slip this under here, and I want this over that. I think I could move it up. Let's see. And then let's bring Donald and the little niece back. I don't even know her name actually. Doesn't really matter if my shoe is covered, because well, I guess I could put it backwards just a little. I don't need my shoe to be seen. Okay, and then I think initially I thought I had the no there, but maybe it was here. No. See, and it's fine if it's spread out like that, because you want your eye to wander to the other page so that they don't miss the fact that it's a double page. So, let's see. I also had I did cut out these, sort of reminded me of the carpet, but I haven't decided if I'm gonna back them, because I noticed there was green around here, but there's enough green in their outfits that I don't really need it. But, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be there. It's kind of too obvious. Sometimes I just cut it out just to see if I like it, and then, you know, you could always, you just play around with it and look around and see if you like something there or not. Like sometimes I'll put things around, and the best thing would be, unless you really are sure something's gonna go there, don't glue it down. Like, see, I like something like that, but then you could also play around with just having the side of it like how that is. Kind of like the bold. It even cut out, you know, lines, but oh, I don't like that. Other things I cut out was like triangles. But then my Cricut was acting funny and it cut some of them wrong. It smushed the paper. So maybe my blade is getting dull, or maybe I don't have it on the correct setting. But could also play around with having different diamonds. So I usually just keep going until it's something I like. But since I like to be equal, if I put one here, then there has to be one there. Because I like building the pages, not exactly the same, but roughly the same. See, and that was using about that many, so that's good. You can see how it's scrunched there. I could always turn it this way to hide that corner. So anyways, yeah, I kind of like that. That brings in some orange from like the carpet. Still have to decide whether I like this black, because I could do half of it. Kind of looks like that portion there. Just happened to find this on Design Space. Could even have sometimes I'll move things around and set them up so many different times, but you know, that's what you kind of have to do to decide whether you like something or not. Kind of like that. If I put that there, then it would be cool to back that with green to match that, but it doesn't have to be. Could slide this one under here. Not that you can really see it. Or I might just end up doing diamonds, because I do have a bunch of orange triangles too that I could always put along the edge of the, that would work too, because it would bring in some more orange. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like maybe because I know that it's being videoed, it's a little bit more pressure, but I definitely do think I like that there. So if I know I like something, then I start there. So I don't want to get glue on my mat, so I'm gonna slide one of these behind here, and then I actually had the pin out of my glue, so probably should clear it first. And then I like to use one of the scissors that you push. I mean, I said scissors, one of the tweezers that you push, just to help me when I'm gonna put glue on things. Anyway. Adding glue, hopefully you can see. Well, gluing tiny pieces is kind of satisfying to me. Sort of like doing a puzzle. I like doing puzzles. Are you guys puzzle people? Again, my favorite puzzles to complete are Disney. I've only framed a couple of them, but I have, what I do is I use clear packing tape and I tape the whole front and back of them. And I have them in a pile for one day when I'm rich enough to buy frames for them. But when I was a teenager, well, actually after I got my car, I really liked sunflowers at the time. So I bought these 2 sunflower puzzles and then I clear taped them. And I knew I wasn't gonna put it on my wall, but one day I was in my car and I thought, man, those puzzles would make a really good floor mat. And so since I had it taped, I actually took it and used it as a floor mat in my car. And at the time I wore heels because I worked at a bank, and so it would last for a while. I want to say it lasted at least a year, but then when it was done, I would just change it out to other ones because, you know, eventually they would get holes in them from my heels. But people thought it was so cool. They would get in the car and they'd be like, what are these? Where'd you buy them? I'm like, oh, they're just puzzles. I just taped them and used them. So it was kind of neat. Like, people thought it was cool. I probably should have continued it, but eventually I stopped doing it because I got rid of my car, or I had no need for it anymore. No need for the puzzle floor mats anymore, because then eventually I had kids, so that wouldn't have worked. Didn't have much glue. I don't know what was wrong with it. It must have been clogged. If any of you have a scrapbooking channel and you've given me a follow, I would love to follow you back. So as soon as I see your channel name come through, I'll go ahead and follow you back or subscribe. I guess that's what they call it on YouTube, huh? Subscribing. Not following like Instagram. But there, that's roughly. I'm somewhat of a perfectionist when it comes to things lining up. But anyway, so I know that that's there, and I know that these are staying, so I can actually put those down. I just want to bring it close to the edge. Okay, so I can move these. I initially was going to make the line photo kind of big, but because I liked the little canoe they had upside down, but I went with the smaller one instead. If you guys have any suggestions of things I can improve or change when it comes to these videos, please feel free to let me know, That's assuming it gets posted, because like I said, I have to listen to make sure the sound comes out or whatever. I'm not really good at making it fancy for now. I just going with minimal. You know, this was a Stampin' Up! Cardstock, and I saw it have color splotches, so I'm hoping everything's fine, because they say it's acid-free cardstock, right? I don't know. I guess I was a demonstrator for them back in, I think it was like 2007 or something, so it's kind of been a while. You can see this one too. Oh wow, hopefully it's fine. Yeah. Let's try and decide. I see a lot of people go live on YouTube so that they can answer comments while they scrapbook. One gal drinks wine. Sounds kind of fun, except I'm not a wine, well, I'm not an alcohol drinker. I do try to find stuff I'd like, but not really my forte. Maybe I should have moved it down so it would have covered this. Too late now, because I already sealed up that. I don't know, I'll figure out what I want there. Hopefully it's not focusing in and out. Like I said, I can't really see the camera, so I can only guess that it's working. This one I'm gonna cover this bottom part. So anyway, sometimes I use pop dots to pop things up on them, but I don't know. I have to decide. I have to decide if I want it popped up or not. Could put it there, but I think I like it better somewhere there. I'll leave that there for now. Okay. This one will have to be after. Let's see. Maybe I'll leave that sticking up for now, just in case. I almost forget to talk, so it probably becomes kind of maybe Maybe that should go there. Initially it was gonna be there, but that's kind of far. Or should it go there? I don't want it to get lost. I want to be able to see it, but I don't want it to be too far away. I think I like it there. New. It's fine there. Do you guys like the pop-up characters? Make it fat. I don't know, sometimes it makes the scrapbook so thick that I end up not liking it to be raised, but and then other times I like the way it looks. I think I like it there because I don't want to block my husband's face right there. I guess I'll raise her up a little. I like to cut them in half so I'm not wasting them, but then again, these are so old that I should probably just use it up. Maybe them too. Oh, I was about to peel that off, but actually she made the white behind there so it wasn't such a small piece to attach. Do you guys do paper piecing on yours? Like this, like these characters? There's so many cute ones nowadays. It's like I wish I had all the time in the world to scrapbook. But that is not the case. Probably should put one under that hand. This will probably stand up a lot. They say you're supposed to crease it with your nail in order to get the backing to come off like this. Sometimes it works. It at least lifts up the side. All of these are do you guys do plannering? I like the thought of planners, and sometimes I'll start one and I'll get like several months worth done. Not as cute as like some of the ones because it's hard to pre-plan unless you know what's going on. But what I do like to do is I use my planner if I'm gonna make one as a journal. So I take notes of what happened the week and then I'll decorate it after the fact and write down what happened. Hopefully I got all the stickers, the backings off. Anyway, so this is the tricky part. These words I'm still trying to learn how to weld, so these actually, the letters were individual. But I watched one girl recently weld them together, and I was able to do it on another layout, but then when it came to this one, it wasn't, the weld option wasn't showing up. So if anyone knows the trick to that and why it shows up sometimes and not others, I will appreciate but you just dropping it in the comment, and I can try that next time. This was a rope lettering on Design Space. I can see using it for like a woody layout also, so I might have to use it again. Let's put Daisy down so I can see where that nose is gonna go. I do like to draw, so sometimes I draw on my pages, just little dots here and there, nothing too spectacular, because now that we have a Cricut, it's much, well, like design space or cut files, it's much easier to be able to make a cut like this than it is to draw. Oops, I don't want it to cover that. Okay, I should have moved that down, but that's right, that'll work. I bought one of those Recollections quick sticks to pick up this kind of things too, but I still sometimes like it there too. Maybe I'll put it here. Only reason for that is if I do be able to write the story somewhere, I'm not left with very many spots. So I don't want to fill up